Hello, everyone. I am Founding Father Benjamin Franklin, and welcome to the Step Up America Foundation podcast. Join us every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time as we celebrate incredible Americans from all walks of life. You may hear from a NASA astronaut, a professional or amateur athlete, a musician, and of course, current and past military heroes, just to name a few. And who knows, you might even learn a thing or two along the way. Well, that's enough for me. Let me introduce you to our hosts, John McIntosh, Mark Renahan, and Adrian Garcia. Take it away, team!
And welcome to the Wednesday edition of the Step Up America podcast / Facebook Live show. I am your host, John McIntosh, and I am blessed to have Mr. Mark Renahan. We got, I don't know what's going on there. We got beeping and buzzing. So anyway, Mark, how are you, bud?
The camera froze again.
Okay.
I am fantastic, John. Always good to be here on our special edition Wednesday show where we always have a special guest for everybody. So we do today, which we'll get to in a second, but I know you want to keep going with the introduction.
Absolutely. So, Mr. Adrian Garcia, who was in the classroom today doing Articles 1 through 7 of the Constitution. Isn't that right, bud?
That's right, John. I'm happy to be here. And tomorrow we have another class also, virtually, though.
Excellent. And the one and only engineer behind the scenes, Noah. Hopefully he has everything up and running, Noah.
To be determined.
My
My mic was muted. To be determined.
All right, there we go.
Chronic tech issues.
No, that's
Enjoy.
okay. But Wednesday is always a special day because we like to have our special guests on Wednesday. And Mark, we're blessed to have a very special guest with us today. Do you care to introduce him?
I do. As you know, John, we are very much supporters of veterans here at the Step Up America show. And recently we found an incredible group, and we actually went up to Virginia and visited them. And while we were visiting them, the executive director gave us the greatest tour ever. The organization is called Racing for Heroes. They are empowering the lives of our nation's veterans through motorsports, health, wellness, and employment opportunities. And today we have with us the executive director and former Navy veteran, Mr. Brett Morash. Brett, how are you, sir?
Hey, I'm doing great, guys. Thanks for having me on.
No, thanks for coming on. Now, Brett, I like to usually just dive right into the show. So before we get into Racing for Heroes, I know you were a Navy guy. I thought maybe you could just touch base a little bit on your biography of where you're from and what made you join the Navy.
Yeah, sure. So I was in the Navy for 20 years. I retired in April of 2013, and that it doesn't feel like it was 7.5 years ago, but it is. But the reason I got there was when I was 5 years old, my grandfather brought me to what became my alma mater, Massachusetts Maritime Academy, which is a nautical school in Massachusetts. And that's where I went to college. And after graduating, I had a choice to go into the merchant marine or into the military. And what I did was I went into the United States Navy, and that's how I joined up. And I was only planning on being in 4 years, and next thing you knew, it was 20.
That's amazing. Now, I know Mass Maritime myself. I'm from Massachusetts myself, and I know it's an incredible school, and they do a lot of great maritime work. But before we go on, I have a quick question. You said you're thinking about joining the Merchant Marine. Maybe can you explain to people what that is and what they do in that profession?
Yeah, so it's not highly armed men that storm beaches looking for money or anything like that. No, what it is, it's all of it's the commercial side of the maritime world. So it's really the people on the high seas on cargo ships or tankers, but it's also the tugboats operating in the harbor, and sort of everything in between is considered the merchant marine. And school like Mass Maritime I went to, or I live in New York now, so it's SUNY Maritime College. They at the end of the day they produce merchant mariners, and usually have two different kind of flavors nowadays: marine engineers or marine transportation deck officers, which I was the latter.
Now, Brett, what did you do when you were in the Navy? I know you were there for 20 years. What are some of the jobs you held, and just some of the ships you might have been on or places you saw?
Yeah, sure. So I was what's called surface warfare officer. So sort of layman or landlubber version is ship driver. So that's what I did. But we're all generalists. So I started out as a communications officer, not like communications like marketing, but like communications like in charge of all the radios and satellite uplinks and all that. And then I went to my second ship, which was an ammunition ship that had also oil on board. It's this thing called a fast combat logistics ship. They're all gone now. But it went 36 knots, and I was in charge of all the damage control on there. Then I had a tour at shore where I taught at Naval ROTC Holy Cross up in Massachusetts. Then back to sea on my absolute favorite ship, the USS Barry, which is a destroyer. And I was the weapons officer and then combat systems officer. I was there for 4 years. It was wonderful. Then back to the Naval War College this time as a student and a researcher. Back to the fleet again as executive officer of a cruiser out in Japan. And then I spent the real last 5 years of my career either in East Africa on a joint task force in charge of theater security cooperation amongst 15 different nations, which was incredible. And then I was, because of that particular experience, I ended up at the Naval War College on the faculty teaching humanitarian assistance and disaster response. And that's how I finished out my career, is up at the Naval War College.
That's incredible. And Brett, you know one of our board members is the former Master Chief Petty Officer of the Navy, Jim Hurt. Did you happen to serve under him while you were in?
Well, I co-located with the Naval War College. So I knew him, but I was way too junior to be in any of the organizations that he was either the senior enlisted officer, senior enlisted advisor on. But of course, I mean, he's really one of those people that people talk about, and really at the true pinnacle of his career as an enlistment in the Navy.
Well, you did get to meet him virtually anyway when we were up.
Oh, that's right.
When we were up in Virginia. So
I did.
Yeah.
Well, something. It's funny because I had a chance because I have a radio show myself. I had a chance to interview Jack Tilley, Sergeant Major of the Army, and it's always funny because those personalities are so different. Where a Master Chief heard. Is sort of the grumpy old Master Chief sometimes, I think, where you just try to avoid those guys.
Right. Right.
But they're super smart, and they're really good at what they do. I'm not saying that Master Chief is grumpy, so I just want to make sure I clarify that. But he is certainly a sea sailor and a fleet guy, so I truly appreciate that. But I did get to meet him virtually.
Yeah, that's cool. So, you know what's even cooler? And, we do this show 3 times a week, and we always like to not just veterans, but just good American people that are out there doing good stuff for our country. And one of the cool things about most of the veterans that we have on our program is once they get out of the service, they continue serving because it's just in your blood, which transitions into what you're actually doing now with Racing for Heroes. So do you want to share a little bit about how you got involved with Racing for Heroes, what you guys do, and what you stand for?
Yeah, sure thing. So, and some of that's kind of how I transitioned, I think is, and I know there's some veterans on your staff too. I kind of spun my wheels for a few months. I didn't really know what I wanted to do, except I had said that, I knew I was moving to New Rochelle with my wife somewhere. And I knew I wanted to get on the train in New Rochelle and eat a lox bagel on my way to New York City to work. But I didn't know what I wanted to do in the back end. But what I did know is that I was really inspired about mission-driven organizations. And so I was really fortunate. I ended up working my first job as vice president of a division of a nonprofit that was just getting into the veteran homelessness space. So my first job was really helping homeless veterans in New York City get long-term housing. Super rewarding job. I mean, just amazing, helping veterans, folks that had similar backgrounds to me, and it's just that they had a tougher time on transition than I did. And I was there to help them out. Just, that's the stuff that wakes me up. And then when it comes to Racing for Heroes, what happened there was, and the reason I got involved with them, is I was at the Bob Woodruff Foundation, which is a veteran philanthropic organization. And I had worked with Racing for Heroes. They weren't one of our grantees, but I was really super excited about their work because it coupled 2 things that I really care about: helping veterans, especially with suicide prevention, and motorsports, which is something I really enjoy ever since I was a little kid. So that's where the two came together. And, Racing for Heroes, as you can imagine, with a name like that, is very much involved in motorsports, all the way from, the NASCAR level all the way down to, guys driving $500 beaters on Fayetteville Speedway just outside of the Fort Bragg base, and everything in between. And we're also running a bunch of programs that are designed for community outreach, or helping veterans get into motorsports, or even helping them with things like supplements and vitamins, trying to make them feel better. And then, that means they work out more, which means that they're less depressed, and sort of the kind of that cascading effect.
Yeah, and when we were up there visiting you, what I found interesting, you have a heavy, correct me if I'm wrong, heavy emphasis on PTSD and the vitamins and an all natural cure instead of just taking pill after pill and prescription after prescription, and getting these people back on track to succeed in life. Can you talk a little bit about that, because I found that most interesting?
Yeah, and I think it's compelling too, because I think that with the way medicine is and sort of the push toward pharmaceuticals in the country is, trying to get people back into where there's a balance. So one of the things that, and as you point out, like with Racing for Heroes, people living with post-traumatic stress disorder or living with traumatic brain injuries, that's really that is a very big focus of ours, and that kind of materializes in a few ways. So, for example, like with motorsports, a veteran that's on the track, that's driving, they are super intense and they're very, very focused, and they're getting that same adrenaline rush that they may have had when they were in service in uniform, especially for the folks that were at the more kinetic end of things. It sort of replicates that without the exact same type of risk. Although, of course, race car driving, of course, is inherently risky, but, it's not like getting shot at either.
Right.
On the other hand, we have veterans that, are, under the care of, medical doctors, whether it be the Veterans Administration or outside, that are being prescribed all these pretty heavy medicines that have all sorts of different interactions. And this is where we feel that, trying to get veterans off of those, and then maybe using things like vitamins and supplements. And they're vitamins like, ones that you could go get today at the grocery store, things like omega-3, fish oils. Some of them are more advanced. And what we do is we actually start by giving veterans blood tests, like go to Quest Diagnostics. It's 21 different tests. I've done this myself, and it's, you feel like the vampire bit you, you're giving so much blood. But you get this kind of baseline of where you are. Like in my case, I had low testosterone. I felt sleepy in the afternoons, a whole bunch of these kind of symptoms. And then when they looked at my blood work, they're like, hey, listen, there's some things that could get tweaked here, here, and here. And then that kind of resulted in maybe about 5 or 6 different, depending what day of the week it is, vitamins that I'm taking. And then I did my blood work 3 months later. And all of the veterans do a very similar work. And then about 3 months later, taking another set of blood tests, and you can see things are back in equilibrium. But at the same time, on a personal level, I have more energy. I've lost 15 pounds in 3 months. Just stuff like that. Really trying to help veterans. And then, as you can imagine, if you lose weight, you're more energetic. You want to go out and work out more. So it has that kind of positive effect, which has a positive effect on mood and depression and those sorts of things.
No, that's awesome. And we tip our cap to what Racing for Heroes and your organization is doing, because giving back is so important. And thank you for what you're doing.
Yeah, Brett.
We wish you could help more, So.
Well, hopefully you will. I'm certain you will. So,
Brett, this is Mark. I want to touch a little bit on when we came up there to visit. I mean, we saw your facility, which was incredibly impressive, and you were very kind in letting me behave like a child as you took me around and showed me all the cars and stuff. But I know you guys do like a lot of like fun, almost adrenaline stuff. I actually got the amazing experience of getting driven around the track. Real fast. It was a lot of fun. But
that was fun, yeah.
Yeah, I know. You guys have like a lot of veterans up to your facility where you do programs on site. I don't know if you wanted to touch base on that a little bit.
Yeah. So and first of all, we're actually moving buildings this week. So we're actually getting a bigger building. It's more purpose built. Wait till you see it next time you come down. So, You'll just be stunned and amazed.
Yeah, no, we're looking
Really?
forward to that. Yes.
Excellent.
Oh no, yeah, and there's never a dull day at Racing for Heroes, as you guys saw clearly. And part of that's because in parallel running with Racing for Heroes is RFH Tactical, which is owned by the founder of Racing for Heroes, Mike Ebach, as a sort of disabled veteran of this. They do tactical training for all sorts of federal agencies or Department of Defense, everything from special operations all the way to like federal marshals. And in the training facilities, and you had a chance to go on the track, right? That they took you on the South course.
Yeah, exactly.
You went on the. Okay, good. So there's things like skid pads there where they wet it down. They put like an inch of water on it. And they teach you how to drive, like skidding out, or they have a close quarter battle house where they're shooting some munitions. And then there's also, I don't know if it was done when you guys were there, but there's a 1,400 meter sniper range designed to train snipers for federal agencies as well as Department of Defense.
Oh wow.
Wow,
and
we
all of
didn't
that-
get to play that
Yeah,
game,
I
Brett.
didn't
Hang
get
on,
sniper- I didn't
we're
get any
making a
sniper training.
hold on. We're coming back up.
Now we definitely have to come
Well,
back.
we only gave you guys the nickel for it.
Yeah, apparently. I'm a little disappointed, Brett.
Yeah, no, and I haven't had a chance to do all that stuff.
All right.
But that also means that when we have fundraisers, there are things like gunning with green berets, which is exactly what that sounds like, which is like shooting machine guns with green berets, and blowing up cars and stuff like that. So it's always a crazy day there.
No, yeah.
That is cool.
But that's it's out of this world. But all that training really is designed for people who are going to go into harm's way, the next day. And so, of course, they're part of sort of the community, and they can see what we're doing on the nonprofit side there to help veterans that, are just, for them a few years down the road if they're still in uniform. And so that's why it's this really kind of interesting group. And as you probably saw, most of the employees there are veterans or family members of veterans. And most of those veterans, with most, I'm probably the exception there. I'm like the most conventional military guy there. They're all special operators, everything from Green Berets, SEALs, Delta Force guys, formerly. So, quite a group of folks.
Yeah,
and they gave me a hard time all I was in the Navy. So.
Well, I was going to say that. I get razzed all the time because I was in the
it's-
Air Force.
It's
so
funny because
it's-
you guys have gunning for Green Berets. We have White Claws with an Air Force
Oh,
captain here
yeah.
at Step Up America for our
I
fundraiser.
like that.
So that's one of the fundraisers we do.
Oh, that is great.
It's not as fun as gunning with Green
Claws
Berets.
the Air Force. No, that's an amazing one.
Yeah, it's Claws with the Air Force captain.
Oh, that's
So
hilarious.
that's going to be one of our fundraisers. But now
fitting.
So tough.
I got to be honest, I can't concentrate because now all I'm thinking about is gunning with Green Berets.
I know.
I mean, you want to talk about a great and a fantastic, thing to do. But by the way, for everyone who's listening, just in case you want to check out more, we're going to keep talking to Brett. But real quickly, www.racingforheroes. Is it .org or .com? I'm sorry.
We're .org.
With .org, yes. I'm sorry. I should have looked this up, but we had Ben Franklin today. But it's an incredible organization. It's www.racingforheroes.org. But again, we're talking with Brett Morash. We're going to keep talking, but I just wanted to throw that in real quick. Now, Brett, how have you guys been able to adapt to the pandemic? I know we always like to ask everybody, things have been crazy.
Yeah, it's tough. The fundraising, obviously as a nonprofit guy, the fundraising has just been hard this year. I think with people focused on, the COVID-19 and, just people are, I think nonprofits in general, the philanthropic side has dried up a bit. It's also the election being so contentious. I think a lot of people are focused on that as well. So, I think we're looking forward to Giving Tuesday coming up and some of the other things that we have coming up. But like for events like, I'll give you one that we have coming up. It's called Charity Laps. So I know you had a chance to drive on the track. Did you get a chance to look at the speedometer, see how fast you guys were going?
Yeah, we got up to like 110, I think, at one point. Or maybe, am I not supposed to tell?
No,
Yeah, we were like
don't-
65,
yeah,
70.
yeah, 55.
Seatbelts on. Mike was
55.
very, very careful the entire time.
Yeah, I doubt it.
Smooth riding.
Well, I always say, like, there's a reason there's 120 on your speedometer, and they put them out of Detroit that way. So let's
Right.
find out.
Right.
It was
But
120
on
kilometers.
December 5th, I'm sorry, kilometers, right. I drove a Ford Focus in Germany once for about 2 miles at like 120 miles per hour, and that was enough. But at VIR, we're going to have an event on December 5th called Charity Laps, and you can come with your family car, and drive behind our pace car, and they'll keep it at reasonable speeds because you got to keep up with the pack. But it's at least COVID sort of responsible because you stay with your little pod in your car, but you get a chance to drive on the racetrack and see what it's really like to take your car out and really see what it can do.
So what's the date on that?
December 5th.
December 5th.
And and it's a Saturday, and it starts at 9 and goes kind of to sunset. If you go to our website, you can sign up. The governor of Virginia is enforcing, of course, all like the contact rules. So we have a sign up that you have to do beforehand.
Well,
and it's go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, what are the chances of me calling Colin Garrett and putting him on my team, and maybe I hop in his car and
that would be amazing.
Is there like a winning? Is there a prize or something?
Yeah, iced coffee.
Well, we're gonna have some. Let's put it this way: we're gonna have some specials. So
excellent.
It's $25 for like 15 minutes of driving around, which probably is like 4 laps.
Yeah.
But we're going to have a drag car there, and you're going to be able to jump in that and like go down the track on a drag car, like 0 to however fast they can do the quarter mile. We're going to have that. Colin Garrett's going to be there. I think he's going to be driving around in a car. So you get to live that if you want to come.
Well, I'm there. I'm there. I'm calling Colin as soon as I hang up here and make sure he's on my
I would
team.
before someone else does.
What's that?
I call him before someone else does, because someone else is going to have that good idea of Gary.
No, I gotcha. So, it's funny. We mentioned Colin Garrett, who races for our American Dream Team, and how did you all get involved with them?
Well, that actually predates me a little bit, but the Garrett family has really tried to. They're a military family. I mean, both sons. Both of Colin's brothers are active duty military. One's flying an Apache Echo helicopter, and the other one's an Army intel officer. And then, Colin, was just inspired by his brothers, and that's how they kind of developed the team in the first place. The American Dream Team is interesting in as much as, it's really kind of grassroots, and a lot of their funding has come by, mom and dad sending like $20 at a time kind of stuff to keep that team going. And then, they've been inspired by us. And then the Garrett family, they live in South Boston. I think you guys stayed there. They're just down the road. Like it's probably like 20 minutes away from where Racing for Heroes is.
Right.
Maybe a little further away, but they're local to that. And that's how the connection was. And I think that just shows you, like anything else, it's those kind of connections we make through networking, meeting people of similar mind. Is how you really kind of get connected with people in the real world. No,
that's super cool. So I'm dead serious. I'm hitting the website as soon as we get off the air here, and
we'll sign up.
Yeah, I'm going to. I'm going to, and I am going to call Colin because I don't think my little Cadillac SR or whatever it is would survive 4 laps around the track, but.
I liked going in we went in like a crash car almost.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that because Mike was bombing around in that thing.
Yeah,
And,
that was fun.
That seems to me
fun.
like what something is. But if everyone out there who's listening, and I'm a city slicker, as most people know, I can tell you that driving around the track as a city slicker is the most fun you'll ever have. I was like a little kid on there. So, and this is going to charity. It's going to Racing for Heroes. They do amazing work with veterans, and they've partnered up with amazing organizations. So I would highly recommend going to their website, www.racingforheroes.org, and checking that out. It's December 5th at 9 a.m., and you got to sign up now, obviously, because of the coronavirus. You can only have certain people and the social distancing and the masks and all that. So please make sure you go to their website and sign up for those who are interested, because it looks like it's going to be cool.
To your point, we will have some of those crown picks available. We're going to wipe them down between groups, so like people get low center of gravity, and then you realize why the state police officers have no problem catching up to you.
Right.
Yeah, no,
I wouldn't know anything about that, but Mark, on the other hand, might.
These are wild accusations you shouldn't listen to. But I was amazed at how fast it actually went. Because they're older old police cruisers, I think. So, it went
Oh,
from,
yeah.
it was flying around that track. And when you looked at it, I'm not going to lie to you. When I first got in, I'm like, this is what they're taking me around the track in? I was expecting a spaceship. And then Mike started bombing around. And I said, all right, you got a Green Beret and a crash car. I think I'm going to enjoy myself here.
Yeah, no, awesome. No, so
Yeah.
that is so cool. So again, December 5th, starting at 9 a.m. Go sign up to support Racing for Heroes. It's an awesome cause, and you can find them at www.racingforheroes.org. And if anybody has any questions, you can message us. We'll get you directly in touch with Brett and the Racing for Heroes team. Isn't that right, Mark?
Yeah, and also they're on all the social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, etc. Check them out on there. You can obviously find all the information about Racing for Heroes there. But, of course, we have their executive director, Brett, with us. Brett, while we have you, do you guys have any other, events coming up? I mean, I know, obviously, Giving Tuesday's coming up, but do you have anything else you're doing, or are you just kind of waiting for the new year to come and go from there?
Yeah, well, we actually just canceled one out in Norfolk, unfortunately, because they've reduced some of the gatherings down to such a small number that just wasn't viable. But we seem to have events all the time, and so if you pay attention to our website, they tend to pop up. Sometimes that's because literally, as you saw, the guys will be sitting around being like, "Hey, maybe we should go to the VA hospital on Saturday, and we'll bring the race car down there." And that's what they do. And so we do have events that are kind of pop up like that. And they're really, in an event like that, it's not really a fundraiser, obviously. It's more designed to, make veterans feel good, because they'll go to the VA hospital at Fort Bragg or something like that. So, yes, please pay attention to our website. We try to be pretty religious about posting things like that. And then every Friday from 11 to 11:30, if you go to our website, we have our own radio show on WVOX out of New York. So it's Sonia Craft.
Yeah, now
Awesome.
you do your own podcast, Brett. How do you like doing that? I mean, we started this. I think now it's almost 2 years, but
Yeah, about 2 years.
We started this, and we found it to be a lot of fun and a good way to kind of get your message across. Have you liked doing your podcast?
Oh, I love it. I mean, listen, it's an opportunity to talk to people that are making a difference in the world. They're not supermen, or superwomen. These are people that are, normal folks that are making an impact. I mean, like I said, we had Jack Tilley on the other day. He's kind of like Superman, so I'll put him in his own little box. But, we like this week coming up, we have a gentleman, Ian Bradbury, who's a Canadian, former Canadian officer, who is a peacekeeping person now. And he actually runs a little company that does training and peacekeeping operations. They just started this one where they're using motorbikes in Uganda to deliver medical supplies to areas affected by the Lord's Resistance Army. So, I mean, great guy. The difference, of course, with our podcast and yours, I know you guys do trivia, but we always have to have something vehicle related. So, like, if you're on there and you're talking about veteran suicide, like we had a couple weeks ago, the lady had to tell us about a road trip she did. In Ian's case, he was driving. Have you ever seen it's called a Grizzly? It's the Grizzly. It's an 8-wheeled tank that the Canadians have. He drove it so fast that the turbo sucked the airbox into it and destroyed the engine. So,
well, I mean, Brett,
It sounds like something Mark would do.
You could always have John on your show, as he ran the motor pool
here we go.
for the Air Force in
swear.
Guam. So
Yeah.
again, he knows how to change tires and all that stuff.
Gotta come.
Yeah.
So, but no, that is what you guys are doing. By the way, is great, and I agree with you. By the way, we have done since doing the podcast, we've had, again, and John said, we usually have veterans, but we also just like to have anyone who gives back to the community, and we've had some incredibly fascinating people on here, and from all of the branches, including the Space Force. We had the Chief Master Sergeant Roger Toberman, the first senior enlisted advisor to the U.S. Space Force. So we have been very fortunate, just like you have. And again, we've gotten to meet organizations like you guys are at Racing for Heroes, which is just, it's unbelievable. And it makes you feel all warm and fuzzy inside knowing that there's other groups out there doing the same thing.
So Brett, before we subject you to your pop culture quiz, I just want to say thank you, because we're going to be in New York teaching classes with Ben and your lovely wife, and it'll be our first.
That's right.
It'll be our first trip to New York, which is super cool. So
Can't wait for that one.
yeah, it's going to be
Definitely
exciting.
excited.
And thank you for that. Thank you for those connections, and we greatly appreciate it because we here at Step Up America, just like Racing for Heroes, believe our cause is just and solid, and it's needed. And it's all about giving back to the country and the community. And Brett, I can't. I'm salivating because we mentioned this yesterday. We're about ready to introduce something really, really cool that happened to us recently, but I can't do it yet. I have to get on a phone call here in a little bit. Maybe next week it'll pop, and but I'll be sure to share it with you as soon as I can.
Outstanding.
All right, well, Brett, you cannot be a guest on the Step Up America podcast without being submitted to our 5-question trivia challenge. And, of course, we always like to make it towards our guest. And as you are a former Navy man, today's questions will be in regards to Navy movies or television. Are you ready?
I'm sorry, Navy. Is it Navy pop culture?
It'll be either Navy movies or Navy television series.
So and
Oh, okay. All right.
yeah, and Brett,
Okay,
here's
okay,
the rules because Mark sometimes forgets to share this with our guests. You get a lifeline. Either you can call on myself or Adrian if you need a lifeline.
Okay,
All right,
I got you.
let's do this, Mark.
Whenever I'm playing people, unless they ask me for the rules, I'm not going to volunteer them for the rules. Anyway, here we go.
All right.
We have with
Fire
us
when ready.
on the show today, Executive Director of Racing for Heroes, Brett Morash. And here we go with question 1. Recently deceased Sean Connery starred in this Navy submarine thriller about a Russian sub-captain who wanted to defect to the United States.
What's the question?
What is the hunt for Red October?
That is
Nice,
correct.
nice,
That is correct.
nice.
That is
Oh,
1
wow.
for 1. All right, number 2. This was the name of the movie starring Demi Moore as she tried to become the first female Navy SEAL. Oh, wow.
I think it's misnamed, but I think it's G.I. Jane.
It is.
Oh,
Yes,
nice,
yes.
nice.
Oh, that's 2. All right. This is an easy one, but I had to throw it in here. This movie about the Navy JAG Corps had the famous line, "You can't handle the truth."
Oh, a few good men.
Of
Oh,
course.
wow,
All right, so
wow,
these last
wow.
2 are a little harder, but I bet you may get them. This movie, starring
right.
Cuba Gooding Jr., was about Carl Brashear, the first African-American Navy diver.
Oh, is it Men of Honor?
Oh, my goodness.
Holy cow.
Wow, he's 4 for 4.
Wait,
I would
wait.
not get any of these
Brett,
whatsoever.
hang on 1 second. You're down to your final question.
This is it.
And we will be shipping off a trophy that's in, if you can pull this off, Brett, no pressure. All right. We actually have the Step Up America Foundation Pop Culture Quiz Championship trophy sitting in the closet waiting to be shipped out. And you would join the likes of Chief Toberman.
Somebody else won, too, I think.
Well, we kind of gave it to the SMA and Johnny, but
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know. Yeah.
All right, so this is the final question. I have,
The world's hardest question coming up.
well, it's, you know what?
I don't think so. I think you might get it.
I'm gonna, if I had to bet, I'm gonna say he's gonna get this one. Ready? So this 1960s TV sitcom was about a misfit PT boat crew during World War II.
Oh, McHale's Navy.
Oh, he's the
Oh,
champion.
you got it. Oh,
You are the champion.
I'm sorry. I'm
Holy
sitting.
cow.
Oh, boy.
All right, that is 5 for 5, Brett. You are the champion. Very
Brett.
congratulations.
I wanted to be. Listen, I wanted to be Clinton McHale my entire Navy career. Like that's the best deal ever.
No, that's awesome. Hey, Brett, would you email us your address so we can get this trophy
course.
off to you? Because, yeah, you and Chief Toberman are the only 2 legit
and
people.
he's
that-
legit. He
yeah,
didn't have to,
yeah.
and we've had some
no
good fillies. We
lifelines,
had,
no nothing.
New
Professional
record.
golfer Billy Hurley failed his Caddyshack quiz.
Yeah.
Dr. Greg Scommel from Shark Week did not get 5 for 5 on Jaws. So you are the first
wow,
real
okay.
Yeah,
champion.
yeah.
So, all right, everybody, we
Yeah,
have on the,
I feel like
go ahead.
I feel like Cliff Claiborne of the Navy though.
Who are 3 people who have never been in my kitchen? That's the Cliff Clavin line.
Right.
Right.
Brett, that was fantastic. Everybody out there listening, we have with us Executive Director of Racing for Heroes, Brett Morash. They are an incredible organization. They empower the lives of our nation veterans through wellness and employment opportunities and race cars and just a whole other bunch of stuff. You really need to go to their website, www.racingforheroes.org. And don't forget, on December 5th, you can do a charity. What's the exact name of it, Brett?
It's called Charity Laps.
Charity
Like
Laps,
here.
that's what I thought,
Nice.
yes. So Charity Laps where you can donate some money and get to go around a track, and it's really cool and it's a lot of fun. So everybody out there, check out Racing for Heroes. Once again, we had Brett on the show. Brett, we want to thank you so much, first, for your service, and second, for all that you do, for your community and everything. Again, we always like to point out the fact that there's a lot of guys who could retire and go off into the sunset, and if it wasn't for guys like Brett who, go right back out there and try to give back, it makes the country a better place. So, John, Adrian,
Very,
anything to
very
say?
Absolutely.
No, I don't. Just thank you, and I'll see you December 5th. So I'm going to drag my son up there. We're gonna
Yeah,
have
let's
some
do it.
fun. Yeah,
I'll be down
absolutely.
there.
Excellent.
All right, Brett, thank you so much. Everybody, once again, one last time, www.racingforheroes.org. Check them out. They're a great organization. We're going to go now, and don't forget the famous words of Ben Franklin: be kind to others and your best to yourself. Thanks a lot, Brett, and thank you, everybody. Have a great day.
Thank you, Brett.
Thanks, Brett.
Bye now.
Bye-bye.